Welcome back, everybody, to another shocking courtroom episode of Lockdown 23 and 1. That's right, we got another shocker for the record books. Today we're going to witness a defendant get sentenced for the kidnapping of a DoorDash driver. That's right, you ain't gonna believe how all this took place, not to mention how it's going to play out in the courtroom. So, as always, if you're new to the channel and enjoy all things lockup and crime related, then this is absolutely where you need to be. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my beautifully assorted playlist with many more videos for you to start watching today. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, traveling down south to Tampa, Florida once again. In August of 2026, Joseph Thomas Killens was convicted and sentenced for the brutal April 2023 kidnapping, robbery, and sexual assault of a female DoorDash driver in Tampa, Florida. After a highly publicized trial in Hillsborough County, the jury rejected Killens' claims of innocence and convicted him on all counts after less than 30 minutes of deliberation. But it says on April 18, 2023, the victim was delivering a DoorDash order to a Tampa hotel when Killens approached her at gunpoint and demanded money and forced her into her own car. He forced her to drive around for roughly 2 hours while threatening her and sexually assaulting her. The driver's girlfriend, who was on the phone with her before the line disconnected, tracked the victim's phone to an apartment complex alongside her sister. When they attempted to rescue the driver, Killens opened fire, shooting and wounding the sister. The next morning, Killens attacked a second woman at the same apartment complex, beating her and stealing her backpack. Neighbors heard the screams and intervened. Investigators used evidence and items recovered from this robbery to link Killens back to the DoorDash driver's kidnapping. Forensic analysts testified that DNA was found on the victim's clothing matching Killens' DNA profile. Now it says the victim's girlfriend did call the police, but she and her family chose to track the phone themselves simultaneously because the situation was unfolding rapidly in real time. And that makes sense, especially if, the phone's pinging and they're showing that it's close by. My daughter's in the car or something going like this, man, I'm gonna hunt them down too. I'm not waiting for police. Not saying for you to go do it, I'm just saying. Hypothetically, what I would do probably. And the second thing that's kind of weird to me, obviously he didn't get caught the night that he shot the person and kidnapped the DoorDash driver because he got caught up the next day for robbing another chick in the same apartment complex. Who in their right mind would commit a crime where they just committed a crime the night before? Makes absolutely no sense to me. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's find out exactly what the courts have in store for Joseph Killens. Alright, here we go, and even though he has his hand up, taking an oath, I believe every word that's coming out of his mouth is a lie. And so did the jury. Keep in mind, he was found guilty. They didn't believe not one drip drop of what he's about to say.
Alright, Mr. Killens, you can be seated. Thank you. Alright, I see that you have the microphone adjusted appropriately. Please do what you've heard me tell all the other witnesses to do. Speak loudly into that microphone so that we can all hear what you have to say. And just like I've asked everybody else, tell us how to spell your first and last name.
Joseph Killens. Joseph, last name Killens, Killins.
All right, thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Killens.
Good morning, sir.
Mr. Killens, I'm going to need your voice to be up a little bit loud. Rich, can you help him out and move the
I didn't want to
microphone?
talk I didn't want to talk real loud, but I can do it though.
We got to hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Mr. Hackworth. Sorry.
No problem, Your Honor. You've been convicted of 9 felonies, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you've been convicted of 3 crimes of dishonesty, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Tell us what happened that day.
He seems a bit unsure about that one, but he still agreed to it. On the record, of course.
Yes, sir.
All right. Tell us what happened that day.
What day?
The day of the allegations against you.
Well, that day there, it was like in April the 18th, I made a phone call. I told her, I said, hey, we need to talk. So she said, I'm going to pick up a pizza. I said, well, okay. She said, and I'm going to deliver it over here by the motel, by International Mall. Based on I am very familiar over there by that area, I said, well, what motel are you going to? Because there's 2 motels right in front of International Mall. Give me the name and I could tell you. So she gave me the name and I said, that'll be the one that is right directly across the street from International Mall. I said, by the time you get there, I will be there. So when she pulled up, I walked towards her car. When she actually seen me, she ran up and screamed. When she screamed, she put her arm around my neck and wrapped her legs around my waist, and I hold her up a little bit with my two hands, placing on the left and the right side of her buttocks, and carried her a little bit more over to where her vehicle was and rested my back on the back of her vehicle. She stood in front of me, and if I look, I can look directly at Outback Steakhouse. If I turn my head, that'll be the pool right there. So me and her was talking for a little minute or two right there where we was. So I said, I don't want to be here all day talking. So she got in the front seat. I was finna get in the passenger seat, but when I opened up the door and seen all those water bottles right there on the floor, that's what made me get in the back, right directly behind her. So I said, let's go to my grandmother's house, and I take those water bottles and throw them in my grandmother's garbage can. That's what I did.
Come on, I think we've seen enough movies that most bad guys are in the back seat conducting whoever they just abducted. And there's reasons for that, you know? It's harder for the victim to fight back. They could say that they have a gun and not even really have one. You don't know if they're behind you, right? So there's many reasons on why criminals choose the back seat for situations like the one that he's accused of being in. Definitely not, and the jury probably said the same thing, just for some dusty water bottles that he's gonna get out and clean at his grandmother's house when he gets there. I can't listen to this guy's lies anymore. I just wanted y'all to get a little feel of his persona before those thick clouds of smoke come and blot it out. But before that, we're gonna hear the jury's guilty verdict, and I believe the defendant's gonna have a little bit of an outburst.
This is Joseph Killings, case number 23 CF 5961, trial division 2, verdict. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1. The defendant is guilty of kidnapping as charged. During the commission of the offense, did the defendant personally carry, display, use, threaten to use, or attempt to use a firearm? Yes. During the commission of the offense, did the defendant actually possess a firearm? Yes. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 2. The defendant is guilty of sexual battery with a deadly weapon as charged. At the time the sexual battery with a deadly weapon was committed, was the defendant 18 years of age or older? Yes. We, the jury, finds as follows as to count 3. The defendant is guilty of robbery with a firearm as charged. During the commission of the offense, did the defendant personally carry, display, use, threaten to use, or attempt to use a firearm? Yes. We, the jury, finds as follows as to count 4. The defendant is guilty of attempted first-degree premeditated murder as charged. During the commission of the offense, did the defendant personally carry, display, use, threaten to use, or attempt to use a firearm? Yes. We, the jury, finds as follows as to count 5. The defendant is guilty of robbery as charged. So say we all dated this 13th day of August?
Yes.
And jury number 25, is this your true and correct verdict?
Oh, yes.
All right, so
Sit it down,
sit down,
sir.
Mr. Killings.
Sit it
So
down.
there's a
Or get laid down. Which one?
all right,
Man,
so
that's a lot of white tees on them.
Rich, I want you to take the jury into the jury room.
Yes, Rich, handle the jury, please. This is a very frightening situation to many of them. You gotta keep in mind, they probably have never seen any kind of activity like this in their life, those jury members. But, ladies and gentlemen, moving forward to the meat and potatoes, the sentencing, or, to many people, the smoke show. Let it commence, Bobby. Do not turn on the turbines. We want them to get the full experience. All right, we have a little bit of silence here, and when the judge does come into play, she goes right into sentencing, so you got to be quick to listen. But during this moment of silence, I like to, thank Long Crime, Court TV, and the various news stations that bring these courtroom videos to the YouTube realm. If you were to ask me, it's a huge benefit to our society.
Statute, this kidnapping is a life felony. I must sentence you to life imprisonment. As to count 2, which is the sexual battery with a deadly weapon in that case, I must sentence you to 50 years based on the jury's findings. I'm going
Life
to
plus 50.
sentence you to 50 years, 50 pursuant to statute, and as a prison releasee reoffender, I must sentence you to life imprisonment. As to
another life
count 3, which is the robbery with a firearm, which is a first degree felony punishable by life imprisonment. I must sentence you pursuant to 1020 life law to the 10-year minimum mandatory, and as a prison releasee reoffender, I'm going to sentence you to life imprisonment.
Ooh,
as to count 4, which is the attempted first degree murder charge, the jury found you guilty and found all of the interrogatory questions pursuant to 1020 life. I'm going to sentence you to life imprisonment pursuant to you being a prison releasee reoffender. I must sentence you to life imprisonment. As to count 5, which is the robbery, which is a second degree felony pursuant to the prison releasee reoffender statute, I must sentence you to 15 years in Florida State Prison. As to count 6, which is the felon in possession charge, pursuant to 1020 life, because of the jury's finding that you actually possessed a firearm, I'm going to sentence you to the 3-year minimum mandatory, and pursuant to you being a prison releasee reoffender as a second degree felony, I must sentence you to 15 years in Florida State Prison. All of these sentences are to run concurrently, each count with the other.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It definitely doesn't pay to be kidnapping anything. Officially, he received 4 separate life terms to be served for his convictions on armed kidnapping, sexual battery with a deadly weapon, robbery with a firearm, and attempted first-degree premeditated murder. He was sentenced to 15 years each for the remaining 2 felony counts of robbery and being a felon in possession of a firearm. So in order for him to see them streets again, he would have to die and be reborn 4 times and then live another 30 years. By then, there probably wouldn't be any doors on a microwave. But this guy's definitely spectrum surfing, if you were to ask me, and I can't imagine having him as a cellmate. Let this be a rude awakening for anybody that wants to try to kidnap and sexually assault someone down in Tampa, Florida. They got about 4, maybe 20 life sentences coming your way. Hypothetically, of course. Until the next time, as always, y'all be easy, be safe, and stay free.